Welcome to She Who Rises Up. I'm your host, Lara, and my intention is to uplift, elevate, and empower you through conscious conversations that will support your growth, healing, and evolution. My mission is to empower women and support the rise of the feminine in the corporate world. My favorite quote is, "She remembered who she was, and the game changed." And this is my desire for you ladies to remember who you are so you could change your game. Please come in and join me. This is your podcast. Hello, and most welcome, beautiful woman, to this sacred space and to another episode of our podcast, She Who Rises Up. How are you being? How are you feeling? How are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm still doing my best. Still immersed in many life initiations and incubating a few very cool projects, very feminine projects that will be birthed at the right time. Apart from that, I'm continuing with my corporate work, facilitating the Women's Empowerment Program Rise and doing my one-to-one work with stunning, outstanding women. So what's in store for us today? So I had this idea. On this topic that is more towards the mystic. It's a mystical topic. And I posted it on Instagram and I asked you, I said, hey, would you be interested on a podcast that's about the modern day priestess? And an overwhelming majority of you said yes. And I need to be truthful here, ladies, because I had a moment of shit. So saying yes to recording this podcast did certainly challenge me. Although I have been running rather than walking the path of the priestess for a number of years now, I still feel as if I'm just starting. So I had to go on an introspective pilgrimage to be able to birth this episode. So thank you for all of you who said yes to this podcast, to this episode of the podcast, and also for providing me this opportunity to create it for you. So before we get started, ladies, I have a couple of questions for you. The first question is, what attracted you? What attracted you to this episode? What attracted you to this episode? What does the word priestess evoke in you? Do you feel at peace, excited, curious, at ease, intrigued, at home? Maybe something has awakened in you. Or maybe the opposite, you feel rejection, resistance, fear. Pay attention to that feeling, because it will give you an indication of where you are on your journey. And if you are listening to this podcast, I know that you are on your priestesshood journey already. Whether you are aware of it or not is a different story. So shall we dive into today's topic and explore it? So what is a priestess? Let's start with that. What is a priestess? Now, back in the old days, the priestess was the gatekeeper of the temple. She was a space holder for the divine. The priests and priestesses, they mediated between the people and the gods, but their main job was actually to serve the god and the goddesses. That's their main job. And they did hold very important roles in ancient societies, very powerful positions, and they were deeply respected and honored. Especially because religion was so important back in the days, right? In the ancient cultures. Delphi is coming to mind, the famous priestesses of Delphi, who were also oracles doing divination. And they did divination and channeled information because apparently they used to spend their days inhaling vapors from the earth. after which they will be able to do their predictions to the kings and the queens and the emperors. And this actually made the priestesses amongst the most powerful women in Greece. So this is the background to the priestesshood journey and the priestesses. There's some information out there. You could research it if it's calling you. How is she relevant today? Why is she showing up today? The priestess is an archetype, like the hundreds of archetypes that exist. She's an ancient one. Strictly speaking, nuns are today's old school priestesses. But you don't have to go down that route. No one is gonna ask you to be celibate unless you choose to for healing purposes. In fact, if anything, you will be for sure you'll be reinitiated in your sexuality. Not with the intention of being an excellent lover, but being your best lover in deep union with yourself. So you can connect to the energy of creation. In this dimension, when I say in this dimension, I'm talking from an earth perspective. Sexual energy is so potent, so potent. I mean, think about that, right? How were you created? How were you created? It came from sexual energy, right? And when you embark on this reinitiation of your sexuality, you might realize that maybe you have been or are sexually liberated, but does it mean that you are sexually empowered? I'm personally going through that journey. And once the lessons have been integrated and embodied, I will for sure be sharing more with you. So to make it work in today's world, the priestess, she had to raise her consciousness. She had to raise her consciousness to meet the requirements and the needs of today. She's still helping us, though, to bring back and revive forgotten ancient and quite advanced wisdom that is still important and still relevant and still necessary, in fact, more than ever in today's world. The way I see this archetype, I see her she acts as a portal. She's a portal of initiation, providing us with this beautiful opportunity to connect to our personal leadership at the highest level, to our magic, to our divinity. But she had to have an upgrade. She had to have a full nip and tuck because a lot of the aspects of the past are not fit for purpose anymore. So she had to evolve. So who is the modern day priestess? Now, I share it from my perspective. This is my perspective on it. If you call yourself a priestess, it's because you have a mission. And your mission is to raise the consciousness of the planet through the work that you're doing and being the ambassador of the divine feminine. That's how it feels to me. The mission of the priestess. Or one of the missions, the biggest mission, in fact, I would say. So the priestess, the way I feel her, is a conduit of love. She's an enabler. She's a facilitator of conscious change. She's a leader as well. I see her as a leader of light, holding her own torch first, and through doing so, illuminating the path for those who are ready to see what there is to see. Now, you don't have to be a preacher or a speaker in order to call yourself a priestess. Having said that, many of us do speak and share our truth in platforms to raise awareness about the reemergence of the feminine. And I choose to do that in the corporate world. The priestess is an empowered woman, but not from an ego perspective. You see, a lot of women want to be empowered, but they want to do it from an ego perspective, ego empowerment. We're not talking about that here. We're talking about she is spiritually empowered, she's consciously empowered, and she's constantly commuting between the practical and the mystical. She makes mysticism practical. I love how Barbara DeAngelis, she's one of my favorite authors, and she calls it practical spirituality. She's very connected to her spirituality. She knows it. She knows that spirituality comes first, then the physical, then humanity comes second. Which means that she is very comfortable in bringing her divine self into literally every aspect of her existence to her best knowledge. She's not a superwoman, though. Absolutely not. In fact, she knows that she needs to ask for help, otherwise, she can get hurt, and not taking care of herself will actually diminish her power. So she knows how to mother, she knows how to love for herself, she knows how to care for herself. Now, another aspect of priestesshood is her ability to alchemize and transmute energies and feelings. She has the capacity to hold all these feelings within herself because she has the capacity to hold that space. And in fact, she could even be a conduit of healing for others. But we're not talking from a place of must, because I'm a priestess, I must do that. No. We do it from a place of flow, from a place of love, from a place of service, from a place of presence. Now, if you decide that the priesthood journey is your journey, now, sisters, be ready to take trips to the underworld. It's part of the path, and she knows. She knows the depth in which she meets herself is the depth she will invite others to meet themselves at. And this is how you raise consciousness. The priestess is paving the path of and for the feminine. And this is key. She knows that this is key to birth a balanced paradigm. And because of that, because of all these trips to the underworld, she is a courageous person, not afraid to die and rebirth herself over and over and over and over again. Once you say yes to her, once you say yes to you, your life becomes one big, massive initiation. Your life becomes your biggest spiritual practice. Now, to call yourself a priestess comes with responsibilities. And again, if you're listening and you're still here, after what, how long? 12 minutes now? 13 minutes? It means that there's something within you that is ready to be emerged. Now, here's the thing. We need priestesses in all walks of life, right? This is not about, you don't need to be in the healing community or to be a counselor or a healer or a coach or... Not at all. No, in fact, back in the days, priestesses performed all kind of duties in service to the gods. There were kitchen porters and cleaners and kitchen staff and in fact anybody who had any association with the gods in the temple was considered some sort of a priest and a priestess. Now, the modern day temples are workplaces, are hospitals, shops, offices, taxis. If you're working from home, then you're home. And even if you don't work from home, it's still your home. Now, what would happen if you start considering the workplace as a sacred space? What would happen if you started treating your work as an expression of your soul's mission? Now, we need to talk about a little disclaimer here. A little disclaimer. Let's talk about the ego, because the ego loves feeling important and feeling different and superior. So we need to be mindful that if you choose to call yourself a priestess, it's not a way to embellish or decorate your ego with a fancy title to make you feel special or superior to others. In fact, that was one of the issues back in the days. The priestesses lost most of their prestige and power, and because of that greed, because of the material wealth and the personal power. Can I call myself a priestess? If she is calling you and you answer the call, the answer is yes. There are no rules here. There are no rules. Having said that, can I call myself a waiter if I've never waited before? Well, probably not, right? There are some mystery schools who argue or that you need to go through an initiation or you need to go through some intense training or an embodiment journey before you could call yourself a priestess or a priest. I sometimes wonder if that's the way to justify their course fees. For me, there are no rules. Again, if she's calling you and you answer the call, then yeah, the answer is yes. And this is an inner journey. This is you don't need to shout and speak about it out loud. This is your personal journey because you'll be leading by example. And by leading by example, people will notice that, right? So we don't have to scream about it or make an announcement. Not at all. Not at all. Who initiates the priestess? Who initiates her? I could tell you my journey. I could tell you who initiated me. I initiated myself. I got informally initiated by a sister. And then I got formally initiated. So I got initiated 3 times by another priestess. Do you have to go through that? I wouldn't. There is no roadmap here. There's no roadmap. There is no goal in terms of this is what I need to do and how do I get to that goal? No, not really. It doesn't work like that here. It doesn't work like that. Now, how can I start? So this could give you a framework or some invitations and inspiration to if this path is for you. So the first thing I would say is to heal. You're gonna be healing. You're gonna be healing a lot. You won't be able to hide things from you. Things will be shown to you. Everything that you need to see, you'll see. Everything that you need to feel, you'll feel. And everything that you'll know about you. Having said that, we're not rushing healing here. This is not the purpose of this. So we're not rushing healing. In fact, if anything, my job is to say yes. My job is to say yes to healing, and then the lessons will show up at the right time. So I need to surrender to the timing of the lessons and the healing journey. You could choose to work with a mystery school or join a temple. I'm not aware of any physical temples nowadays. These temples are online. I personally, I'm not part of any temple or mystery school. I choose to do my own thing. I do go, I have done, and I still do go to some training and some offerings they have to expand and to learn more. But then I dip in and out. Again, this is what works for me. Having said that, I'm surrounded by other priestesses, my sisterhood. All my sisters are priestesses. So we all speaking the same language and we all going through that journey. Knowingly and consciously, we know that we're on this journey. You might also decide to join a women's circle. A women's circle. I just had an idea. I wonder if I need to do that women's circle and invite you if you want to join. maybe that's also that I could do that. I wonder. I'm going to sit with it. There are women's circles, and the whole point of women's circles is to help you dive into your femininity and feminine energy, because this is going to be this is going to be very important for you to start working and embodying the essence of the feminine. As an ambassador of the feminine, you need to do the work of the feminine. Something else, there might be a particular deity that's calling you, or maybe not. So pay attention to that. I personally work with goddess Isis, but not as a goddess that I worship or a goddess that is external outside of me. In fact, I see Isis as a goddess Isis. I see her as a sister, an aspect of myself at the highest level. Set an altar, do your altar work on a daily basis. 5-10 minutes a day, do your meditation, set this beautiful space so you start connecting to that. Because by setting an altar, also what you're doing is you bring in ceremony and ritual as well to not only to your altar work, but then you start bringing it to the most mundane of tasks. And by doing so, what we're doing is we're bringing our presence and energy and intention to everything that we do. We talked about life initiations. Be ready for that, to perfect your mission, to embody your mission at a deeper level. You will be going through a lot of life initiations, a lot. So that happens through healing. There are many qualities that you could start working towards, like, for example, presence, compassion, leadership, trust, forgiveness, truth. These are some of the ones that are coming to mind now. So before we start wrapping up, hey, how did you find it? How did you find it? I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a little note. And let me know, how did you find this episode? And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pick some cards. I'm using this deck that I'm loving so much now. It's called the Rose Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. It's the latest deck that I got, that I'm working with, and has beautiful messages. So let's pick a card. Oh, okay, I've got one here. Oh, this is so we can't make up these things, So the card that came was, it's called the Crowning card, and that is the card of initiation, birth, and rebirth. So this is the card of sitting on the table. So it's about owning it. And so if she calls you, if she's calling you, if this priestess path is calling you, then claim it. Claim it as yours. Very interesting. Okay, I'm going to leave it here then, ladies, sisters, darling ones. I hope you really enjoyed this, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye-bye. That's all for today, ladies. Thank you so much for joining this space, and I truly hope you found it insightful. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends and the women in your lives so they could also benefit from it too. If you want to get in touch, you are very welcome to contact me through Instagram, LinkedIn, or send me an email to support@laracalaf.com. Speak to you very soon.